You won't believe what one nosy neighbor did when she decided our farm gate didn't meet her HOA standards. We live on a peaceful piece of land just outside a small town, quiet, open skies, and a lot of space. My grandpa's worked this land for over 40 years, and our old farm gate has stood strong just as long. But then she moved in, Karen. Not her real name, but the type you already know. Always complaining, always watching. One morning the gate was wide open, not broken, not damaged, just unlocked. At first we thought maybe we forgot to close it, until we realized the key was gone. Turns out, someone didn't just take it. They stole it. Animals could have gotten loose, tractors could have been stolen. Grandpa was furious, and when he's mad, he doesn't yell. He gets creative. So, after trying to talk it out with the HOA and getting nowhere, Grandpa did what no one expected. Let's just say the next person who tries to mess with our gate might get an shocking surprise. Literally. But here's the wildest part. We caught something on the trail cam that night. Something that made us all stop and look at each other in silence. You won't want to miss what happened next. Before all this happened, life around the farm was pretty simple. Grandpa loved his land more than anything. He wasn't the type to bother with neighbors or get involved in petty disputes. But when Karen moved into the neighborhood, things changed fast. At first, she seemed friendly enough, always waving from her porch and asking about the weather. But soon her visits became less about kindness and more about control. She'd complain about the noise from the tractors, the chickens wandering a little too close to her yard, and even how our gate looked, like it wasn't good enough for her HOA rules. We tried to explain that this was a working farm, not a suburban street lined with fancy fences, but Karen wouldn't listen. She made phone calls, sent letters, and even showed up uninvited, demanding we fix the gate to meet her standards. Then the key went missing. We suspected her, but no proof. Grandpa was quiet about it, but we all knew he was brewing up a plan. When the electric fence went up overnight, it wasn't just about protecting the property anymore, it was a message. We thought it would stop any more gate tampering, but the camera footage that night showed something we didn't expect. Someone, or something, was watching us too, and it wasn't Karen. What could it be? And what happens if this mystery gets out of hand? Stick around to find out. After we saw the footage, things got even stranger. The camera didn't just catch someone lurking near the gate. It caught shadows moving just beyond the fence, too dark to tell if it was animal or person. Grandpa's usually calm, but this unsettled him. We all wondered if it was just neighborhood kids sneaking around or maybe something else. Karen? She seemed too obvious for that kind of sneaky behavior. Meanwhile, the HOA meetings started feeling more like battlegrounds. Karen wasn't the only one upset about the electric fence. Some neighbors said it was dangerous, that it went too far. Others sided with Grandpa, saying he had every right to protect his land, especially after the gate incident. The community was divided, and it made coming home feel less safe. Then there was the issue of trust. Grandpa had always been respected in the neighborhood, but now some people looked at him like trouble that followed him out to the farm. My family began to question if this fight was worth it, but Grandpa's stubbornness meant he wasn't backing down. On top of all this, there was a quiet tension at home. The animals were restless, as if they could sense something lurking nearby. The dogs barked at night more than usual, and even the farmhands whispered about strange noises in the dark. We're caught between a stubborn HOA Karen, an unexplained presence around the farm, and a family trying to hold onto what's theirs. What happens next is anyone's guess. Days turned into nights filled with unease. The electric fence buzzed quietly under the moonlight, a constant reminder that Grandpa was serious about protecting the farm. But no matter how much we tightened security, the feeling that someone was watching never went away. The shadows on the camera kept appearing, slipping just out of clear view, as if whoever, or whatever, it was enjoyed toying with us. Karen's complaints escalated too. She sent more letters, threatened to call the HOA board again, and even tried to confront Grandpa in person. But he stood his ground, refusing to hand over the farm's safety to anyone who didn't understand what it meant to live and work on this land. The neighborhood was split, and the tension between the sides was growing thick enough to cut with a knife. At home, the animals grew more restless by the day. The dogs paced near the fence, growling at empty spaces. One night, we heard loud noises near the gate, like something heavy hitting it, trying to get in. We rushed outside, but the only thing we found was a single muddy footprint, too big for a person and too small for a deer. Grandpa's face was grim. He knew this wasn't just about a stolen key anymore. Whatever was out there was testing us, pushing boundaries, and we were running out of time. The question hanging over us: how far would we have to go to keep our farms safe, and what would we find when we did? The next moments could change everything. Just when we thought things couldn't get any more intense, something unexpected happened that changed everything. One morning, Grandpa found a note tucked under the gate, written in shaky handwriting. It wasn't from Karen or anyone we knew. The message was vague but chilling. "You're not the only ones protecting this land. Back off." That note sent a new wave of fear through all of us. Who else could it be? Was this connected to the shadows we'd been seeing on the camera? Grandpa was quiet for a while, thinking hard, and then he decided to check some old family records about the farm. That's when we discovered something surprising. A long-forgotten neighbor who had lived on this land decades ago, someone with a mysterious past and a reputation for disappearing without a trace. Could this be someone or something connected to that? Or was it just a coincidence? The lines between friend and foe started blurring fast. Suddenly, our fight with HOA Karen felt small compared to whatever, or whoever, was sending us warnings. The electric fence, the stolen key, the strange noises, all of it pointed to something bigger than just a neighborhood dispute. We were caught in a web of old secrets, modern conflicts, and a presence that didn't want us here. As tensions rose, Grandpa knew we had to prepare for what was coming next. But what that next step would be, and if we were ready for it, remained a mystery. The farm was no longer just ours. It was something else entirely. The tension finally reached its breaking point one stormy night. The wind howled around the farm as the electric fence hummed louder than ever. Suddenly, the cameras caught movement, clear this time, someone creeping toward the gate. Grandpa grabbed his flashlight and stepped outside, heart pounding but steady. It wasn't Karen or some prankster. It was an elderly man, weathered like the farm itself, carrying a rusty old key. He introduced himself as the descendant of that long-forgotten neighbor from the family records. He said his family had once lived here generations ago and believed the land still belonged to them in a way. He'd been watching from the shadows, trying to protect what he thought was his heritage. The man apologized for taking the key, explaining he only wanted to check on the farm and make sure it wasn't being misused. Hearing his story, Grandpa softened, but made it clear the farm had been in our family for decades now, and that respect and communication were the only ways forward. As the storm calmed, the three of them, Grandpa, the man, and even Karen, who showed up unexpectedly, came to a shaky understanding. The electric fence stayed, the gate key was returned, and a new respect formed between old history and new neighbors. But just as we thought the nightmare was over, the camera picked up one last shot, a shadow moving behind the barn, watching us all. Whatever that was, it wasn't done yet. After that stormy night, things slowly started to settle down. The mysterious man became a regular visitor, not as a threat, but as someone who shared a deep connection to the land. He and Grandpa would sit on the porch, swapping stories about the farm's history and the changes over the years. Even Karen, after seeing the bigger picture, softened her stance. Her complaints turned into cautious respect. The electric fence stayed as a boundary, but it no longer felt like a weapon. It was a symbol of how far we'd come, protecting what matters while learning to coexist with the past and the neighbors around us. The stolen key was finally found, safely returned, and the gate stood firm, welcoming but secure. This whole experience taught us a lot about standing up for what's yours without losing sight of community and history. Sometimes the biggest battles aren't just with people, but with the stories that live beneath the surface. This whole experience taught us a lot about standing up for what's yours without losing sight of community and history. And while the shadow behind the barn remains a mystery, it reminds us that every place holds secrets, and that's part of what makes a home truly alive. Thanks for sticking with us through this wild ride. If you enjoyed the story, hit that like button and subscribe for more tales of real-life drama and unexpected twists right here on Entitled People.